Off Script with Super E recommends listener discretion, as these real but sometimes uncensored stories can be filled with mature content.
Hey everybody, it's A-Train. I'm here with Super E. And
what's up, A-Train?
What's happening, Super E?
Oh, not much. Just sitting here telling a story with you.
Okay, well, let's hear it.
All right. The story I'm going to tell today was about one of the most hilarious, exciting search warrants I've ever done, but it was also one of the worst executed search warrants that we ever did. Now, back in the day, this was 27, 28 years ago. And we did search warrants a little bit different back then. It was more of, there was no SWAT team. You did all the search warrants on your own. You know, if you had a 4-man narcotics squad, you would go out and do a warrant. And how you made entry when I first started doing narcotics was one guy was designated to kick the door open.
Right.
And that's just how things were. And basically, instead of the big tactical plans of, hey, you take pictures, you check for money, you check for the drugs, you do this. It was, today it's very well defined. Everybody's got a job. Everybody's got a purpose. Back then it was, I'm going to kick in the door and you guys follow me in, and then we all fan out. That's basically how it was back then, because that's the way you did it.
Right. And I remember back then, you kicked the door in because not everybody had Rams.
We didn't have Rams, or they call them Halligans. See, a lot of the drug dealers would have big metal iron security doors. You couldn't hit them with a Ram. You had to use what you call a Halligan, had a hook on it. You would stick it in there and just rip the storm door or security door right off the hinges.
Yeah, because you'd have to pry it outward instead of going in. Yeah,
exactly.
Yep.
So this was back in the day when I had two old partners, both named Jim and Jim, and they did things, differently from the way I did it even back then. And people thought I was a cowboy, but they were even, their hats were like giant 10-gallon hats. And so they had been working on this for weeks and weeks about some gigantic gambling investigation. And they had contacted our deputy chief. He knew what was going on. They all wanted them to continue with this big gambling investigation, which it started out as, and they thought there might be drugs involved. And that's why they wanted my partners to do it, because there might have been drugs involved.
All right.
And so they found out that they were going to have these same people they thought were involved in the gambling was having a giant party on Super Bowl Sunday, the second Super Bowl with the Cowboys and Bills.
Okay.
And so I get a call and they're like, hey, we're doing a search warrant today. I said, on Super Bowl Sunday? And he goes, they're having a giant party today. There's going to be gambling, and we believe there's going to be drugs. And now here's the kicker. We've got a television news crew with us, because one of the guys, one of the sergeants, was real close friends with the people from the Bob and Tom show, and also one of the local news stations. So he invited the local news station to ride along with us and film the blundering and the buffoonery that happened right in front of them.
So there's video documentation of this.
I saw it. I saw it one time. My mouth hit the floor, and I said, "This is the worst," but I can't take my eyes off it. And it was also so awesome at the same time. It's like that YouTube video in Australia where a giant eagle flies down and carries off somebody's dachshund that was on a leash. It was horrible, but you're like, oh my God, that was awesome. But anyway, so it was, when I saw the video the next day, I was shocked, ashamed, and amazed at the same time. So what happened was that my two older partners, they said, we're going to this house and we're going to have the news crew with us. We had the sergeant that knew the news crew. He was with us. And we had our other partner. His name was Greg. He was a young guy like me. And then we had somebody we had somebody detailed to our office. It was Big Eddie. And so all the instruction was before was we're going to go to the house. And I believe I was going to kick the door in. And then we're, like I said, fan out, grab everybody, and get whatever we could get.
Right.
That was basically it. So I'm like, okay, because I knew nothing about this investigation. I was off buying drugs from houses that we had, citizen complaints on. That's what I was doing.
Right.
Well, these guys were spending weeks on this.
Okay.
So we get there, the news crew gets out, they set up their cameras, and we approach the side door where you could tell where everybody had been going in. Well, there was a great big security door. And then there was a door behind it, of course. And the security door actually had glass on it. Some security doors it's just bars.
Metal. Right.
This one had glass on it. Okay. And then they had a big privacy fence. So as we approach and knock on the door, the sergeant sees the suspect. He's the one who was running the show. And you still got me, A-Train?
I got you.
Okay. So he sees the guy look through the window, saw us and the news crew. He runs out another door, the back door, and he's throwing out bags of cocaine into the backyard. And he screams, he's throwing out cocaine. Now, I was a lot younger then in spring here. I was able to clear that 6-foot fence. Wow. And I see the guy throwing down the cocaine. He sees me hop that fence. He takes off back in the house. I'm right on his heels. We run through the house, and he dives under a bed. And as he dove under the bed, I was able to reach out and grab his legs and pull him out back from under the bed. I said, nice try. And I look under the bed. There was like 3 or 4 handguns ready right there to go, and a bunch of cocaine. So if he was going to get to them guns, bad things were going to be happening. Yes. So, okay, as I rip him out from under the bed, get him cuffed, I'm like, okay, I know what's going on. Well, I kind of heard a ruckus at the side door where the security door was. And what I did not see was when Jim and Jim saw me chasing the guy through the house, because they were in their 50s, there was no way they were going over that fence. So they thought, we got to get to the security door. So you know what the geniuses did? They looked down, and the milk crates that they put like 4 jugs of milk in?
Yeah.
Well, there was a milk crate there with 4 jugs in it. They weren't plastic. They were glass full of fruit juice. Okay. The bigger Jim, he grabs this. Now, this is all on video. That's how I was able to see what happened. He takes that and swings it and smashes it into that iron security door. And what happens next? All those glass jugs of fruit juice explode. And you can see it. The guys are all covering themselves because glass and fruit juice is exploding everywhere. And then the other Jim, the smaller Jim, but the crazier of the two, well, they were both extremely crazy and fun. He runs over and he grabs the handle of the security door and he yanks on it. It breaks off in his hand, and I just saw him fly backwards out of the camera shot when I reviewed the tape the next day. I'm like, what the hell's happening? So anyways, now the glass is busted out. They can't get the security door open, but they're able to reach inside and open the door. And as I'm dragging this guy out of the bedroom, I look out and I see him all covered in fruit juice, glass everywhere. And you could see me, if you read my lips on the video I saw the next day, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Well, it got even crazier because I heard a bunch of people were downstairs in the basement. And I could hear all this. I could hear all this laughing. So I take my cuff guy and we go down the stairs. And I see the sergeant standing there looking real sheepish and embarrassed, and everybody there was laughing at him. The people watching the Super Bowl and at the party.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is going on? And this woman goes, oh, man, this mother, you ought to see this motherfucker. Oh, we heard all this commotion upstairs. And then next thing we know, man, we heard clunk, 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 clunk. And there's a gun flying across the floor.
Oh.
And then we heard boom, 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 boom. And this motherfucker right here, the sergeant, he comes falling down the steps, head over ass, and lands on the floor. And the gun's laying out over here by me. And we just start dying laughing. I look over at the sergeant, and he's like, man, I'm so embarrassed. And I couldn't help it. I just started laughing at everybody. We were all laughing. And so then once we got everybody upstairs, you know, there was like about 25 people there. And so we're watching the game and trying to do all the paperwork. So we get everything done. And I thought, oh my God, this was a disaster the way this worked out. But we got guns, we got drugs. So I go into work the next day, and our sergeant pops in this video, and we watched what the news station filmed. And that's when I saw all this take place in front of me. And that's when my mouth fell open, and I was like, oh my God, are we all going to be fired? But then I was like, this is the most awesome thing I've ever seen. It must be used as this training video by all police departments on not how to execute a proper search warrant. But then I found out that the news station was so impressed with what they said, can we do this again? That was the best video we ever shot of police in action. And then our deputy chief, he goes, man, you guys did a great job. I'm like, really? Did we? Oh, that was excellent. The news media love it. And you guys got guns and dope. And I said, didn't you see all these? Doesn't matter.
Juice,
yeah, the fruit juice, glass, guys zooming out of the film shot with broken door handles. But see, after that, I kept trying to find a copy of that video, and I can't find it anywhere. It's kind of like the holy grail of police search warrant.
Jim and Jim got their hands on that, destroyed it. Yeah.
Oh, they must have, but it was, I'm telling you what, I'll never forget that day. And it was, again, we got the job done. We got drugs.
Right.
We got guns. But in the process, I could have been killed, and I could have been killed by a gun or embarrassment after watching the video. One or the other. I felt like dying.
Yeah, and the sergeant dropping his gun and falling down the stairs. Not a good look. That's not a good look.
No, and he was like, hey, can we keep that under our hat? Yeah, no problem. The next day, the hats were all off. Yeah. Man, you ought to seen him falling down them steps. They were laughing. Gun flew. When she told me, she goes, we heard clunk, 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 and we just saw this big gun fly across the floor. And then we see this dumbass, flop, 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 flop. And then he sprawled out on the. I mean, it was just fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, search warrants don't always go as planned. There's always some, mishap that'll happen. That does sound like maybe, the worst as far as execution of the search warrant. Not great, but the results, hey, you got it done, right?
Yes, but like I said, this was almost 30 years ago. I can only imagine how search warrants went 40 years ago, 50 years ago. Sometimes, only two guys were doing search warrants.
Yeah, they'd ride in on dinosaurs, and then they'd jump off and do the search warrant, right?
They would slide down a dinosaur like Fred Flintstone right through the front door of the jerk house.
Exactly. Now, I do have a question. So, Big Jim that picks up the crate of juice and tries to smash it through the security door. What did he actually think was going to be accomplished by that? I wonder.
I asked him that. I go, what did you think he was going to do? by smashing the glass jugs into a security door that opens out.
Uh-huh.
And he goes, to tell you the truth, I don't know. It just felt like it needed to be done. And I was like, okay.
Okay. All right. Hey, he improvised. He just felt like that's what he needed to do.
Exactly.
Oh my God. Yeah, that sounds that's definitely Keystone Copish. That's
Yes,
for
it was.
dang sure. But now it's memorialized forever on our
Yes,
super podcast.
it's a fond place in my heart of memories
Yes.
of the things that happened in my career.
And I'll tell you what, listeners, if we are ever able to get that video, we will try to post the video with the podcast. What do you think, Air Super E?
I think it would be great. I just want to advise the listeners right now, today's search warrants are well planned out.
Yes.
You go through, hey, where's the nearest hospital? You have an ambulance ready. You've got people with cameras, completely different from the back in the day, back when.
Absolutely.
Tenfold.
Well, that was really enjoyable, Super E. That was a good story.
Right on.
So I know the one Jim you're talking about has passed on, is no longer with us. Is Big Jim, the fruit juice guy, still around?
Yes, he lives out on the East Coast, and I still believe he's playing golf every day.
All right. Well, good for him.
Good
for him. All right. Very good. He's not a milkman or a juice man.
No. He's retired, enjoying life.
Very good.
Take us out, A-Train.
All right. That was awesome, Super E. I will.
Adios.
We will talk to all you listeners later. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, that was great.